What is up, guys, and welcome back. I just wanted to make a quick little video here kind of explaining in more detail the points I made in my last video in Operation Skyhook. So we're going to count up the victory points here, and I'm going to kind of explain to you guys why I think that this game is over and out of reach for the Allies at this point. You'll have to forgive the sheets. My printer is out of black ink, so all the words here are printed in a very light gray and probably aren't going to be legible when I post this to YouTube. So I'm going to talk you through these, and you're going to have to listen to my beautiful voice instead of being able to read these crappy little sheets. But the important part is just seeing the little boxes and seeing where I'm gonna lay some chips out to kind of count up the points here. So let's get started. Obviously, we're going to start with the victory cities. We've got our 10 roundels here representing each of the 10 cities. London is currently under German control, as is Moscow. Calcutta is Japanese controlled, and Paris is German controlled. And this is how things sit right now, victory cities wise. So already the Axis have a 7-3 lead just by nature of the victory cities. Now I'm going to walk through each country's victory points here, and I'm going to be very generous to the Allies here. I'm going to give the Allies all the breaks, and everything's going to go exactly according to plan for the Allies, and we're still going to end up losing this game. So, starting here with Great Britain. Now this one, Great Britain and London in particular, is the swing vote, and at the moment there's no possible path for the Allies to get London back at all. But so for now, we're going to leave London in German control, and the British will get 0 victory points because they can't score any points without their capital. Moving on to the FEC, I'm fairly confident that the Allies can reclaim Calcutta and reclaim the FEC victory point here by the end of the game. I'm fairly confident in this. Now that Russia's fallen, I can see the Germans getting some units into India, and that would make things a lot more difficult. But again, we're giving the Allies all of the benefit of the doubt here. So we're going to say that the FEC get Calcutta and their victory point, which is to reclaim all of their Southeast Asian territories that have an IPP value. So everything in India, British Malaya, Burma, Bengal, all that stuff. I think we'll get all those back, and we'll re-get Calcutta. The Anzac will also get both of their points. They will retain Sydney, and there will be no surface warships within 2 sea zones of their home country. I think that one is going to be one of the easiest points that the, unless we get unlucky there. Now, the United States, I looked through Hambone's video, and it looks like he hit his Argentina roll, which is hilarious, because those have just been the breaks this whole game. We got super unlucky with the Vichy rolls, and now we got Argentina on our back. So I think the U.S. is going to keep Washington, D.C. Now, it would be kind of fun to see the Germans try to invade the U.S. now that they have $100 coming our way every turn. But again, we're giving the Allies all the benefit of the doubt. We're going to say that the U.S. defends their borders. I also think that we can get now, obviously, I don't think Hambone would have done the roll until later. So, there is a good chance that we don't get this Monroe Doctrine point, but again, we're giving the U.S. the benefit of the doubt. I don't think they'll have too big of a deal going down there and taking out Argentina. And if we were playing the game all the way out, I don't think Hambone would have done that roll until later, in which case it would have been a lot harder for me to retake Argentina. But for now, we're going to give us the Monroe Doctrine point. We are not going to be able to contain fascism. That is completely out of the realm of possibility. But communism will be contained. The Soviets will not have more than 4 new land zones with an IPP value outside of home country at the end of this game. I just don't think that's possible at this point. We will get Pacific security by having twice as many capital ships as the Japanese. We will maintain the empire by having all of our land zones as of 1936. And it's been tough for me to get the rockets. I've missed it almost every round in this entire game, but we're going to give us technological superiority as well. So the US will get all but one of their victory points. Moving over to the Free France, who are a special case, who can score victory points without having their capital. So that means out of these three, they will get contain communism. There will not be a communist-held territory adjacent to French home country. They will not contain fascism. That's impossible. And they will not maintain the empire. That is also basically impossible at this point. So 1 point for the Free French. The KMT here are also having a good game. So they've got Nanking. I think they've got a really good chance to expel foreign influence. All we have to do is retake Manchuria, which we are well on our way to achieving. Reclaim China. We need 2 of Rihe, Western Manchuria, Eastern Manchuria, Northern Manchuria, or Formosa. We've already got Formosa, and I think if we expel foreign influence, then we definitely have this one as well. Defeat the communists. This one is a little bit dicier. We're kind of racing against the clock there. But again, we're giving the Allies all the benefit of the doubt. So we say that they are going to knock the communists out of China. That one's a little bit sketchy, but we're going to say that they get it. So those are all of the Allied victory points that I think are even close to a possibility at this point in the game. Now let's count up the Axis powers. So Italy has Rome, and they will have 2 new land zones that they did not own at the beginning of the game. The Nationalists won the Civil War, so they'll get that point. Now this middle one is Mediterranean security. They need to have twice as many capital ships as the Allies in the Med, or possession of Gibraltar, Eastern Egypt, and Malta. Now, this one is tough. I think they probably get it. I really do, because of the German Air Force. There's no way that the Allies can hold. There's no way that the Allies can hold any type of reasonable navy inside of the Mediterranean. But again, we're giving the Allies all the breaks here. I'm not going to give them this point right now, and they're still going to win. So they'll probably get this point, but I'm not going to give it to them right now. The Japanese, we're going to leave at 1 point. I don't think they get any of their other victory points. Anzac is just about to take out Java, which is going to be their last point down here. They're not going to have Pacific security, and they're not going to have an income above, 50 IPPs per turn. So I think the Japanese are just going to stick with Tokyo there. Now moving on to the big one, Germany. They will get all 4 of their Lebensraum points. He's about to take out Greece. He's got all the Russian ones. He's going to get those 4 easily. Eliminate communism. He needs to have either Moscow or 2 Soviet cities. That one's going to be an easy one as well. German income greater than 50. That is an easy one. He's doubled that by now. And of course, Spanish Civil War, they did win. So Germany gets all their points. So now let's count these up, and even giving the Allies all the breaks that I think are possible, they will still lose. So we've got 4 here for the Commonwealth countries. The US gets 6 for a total of 10. 4 from the KMT plus 1 is 15 total points for the Allies, which is a pretty solid total in most games. That's a good game for the Allies. But here we have Italy with 4. Japan has 5, which brings them, or 1, which brings them to 5, 4 up here is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So, Axis have the edge by 1 point here. And I have given them, the Allies, all of the breaks that I think they could possibly get. And they still are losing by 1 point. Give the Italians their extra point, and it's a completely different game, which I think it's probably likely that they get this 4th point. So there's a 2-point edge to the Axis. And let's even take this one away from the FEC, because with the Germans where they are and the Italians coming over, that is not a guaranteed thing. So it's there's almost no path to victory for the Allies at this point. Now, and I really think the Allies had a very, very good shot up until Moscow fell. So if the Russians can, you know, kind of, they don't even have to stuff the Germans, but just make the Germans put a lot of money into that front, then I think the Allies can sneak in and grab London, and the British will then get their contained communism point. And just like that, it's a completely different game. And the Allies now have the advantage in points by 1 or 2 points. So I thought the Allies had a really good chance, but just, you know, the Russians fell, and that's not an indictment on PK. I've said that once, and I'll say it again. It's just he was in a really tough position. You can't blame him. It was just a really tough game. The Axis had the advantage the whole game. And even if the Russians do solidify a front there without any kind of British help, only the Canadians and the Americans, it's going to be really, really tough for the Allies to get London back anyway. So, you know, in my opinion, this game it's over. It's been decided. Germans are making well over $100 a turn. There's no way the U.S. make any headway into Europe at all. So this one's about wrapped up. Oh, you know what? Since I need to give the Comintern some credit here. I haven't even talked about him. Give me 1 second. I need to grab him a chip. PK, this one's for you. So the Soviet Union has lost so much territory in their home country they can't get any points. They've also lost Moscow. But the Communist Chinese, they never surrender. So they will get expel foreign influence when the KMT kick Japan out of China. So the Comintern is on the board. It's been a tough game for them. But so I think that's how things are going to shake out, guys. It's been a fun game. It's definitely been a unique game. I've never seen the U.S. in the war as early as they were. And so the U.S. had a really good game, and that helped the KMT have a really good game. So even though it worked out for the Axis this time, I still think it's a very dangerous move for them to let the U.S. into the war as early as they did. So, you know, props to Hambone. He played an excellent game. Props to Mr. Scrubbert for getting the Italians started off really, really strong. They've done a lot of work there in Africa and the Middle East. And props to Mark for the work he did. He got put in a tough position when the Americans joined the war so early. And props to him. He held on to Tokyo, and he's been giving us hell in India, and he took South Africa. You know, one of my favorite things in this game is when Japan makes it all the way down to South Africa. I think that's absurd, and I love it. So props to Mark. He also played a great game. All three of them did a really, really excellent job. And it's been a fun game, guys. So thanks for tuning in and staying along with us this whole time. And I will see you guys soon for some more gaming. All right. Love you guys.